Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you all are doing great. So, there has been a debate related to this new nuclear age. This book got published in the month of April 2025, and after the publication of this book, multiple people have raised this question that are we living in a new nuclear age? So the question is, what are the characteristics of the new nuclear age? Is this term, the very term nuclear age, is it justified or not? Is it a myth or reality? Are you getting? Or it is just a nostalgic term to refer to recent enhancement of tension between USA and China. We'll try to understand इस new nuclear age में everything we'll try to understand कि what are its characteristic features and how it is different from the first two nuclear age, because these authors, ये जो book आया अप्रैल में, they have basically made a distinction between this nuclear age and the earlier two existing nuclear age. So how those two are different? What would be the role of India into it? What would be the role of United States of America into it? ये सबको हम लोग समझेंगे, ठीक है? So let's start. This is the one more thing. जो first time today, those who are watching my channel, let me tell you, I'm Deepak Prakash and I have done my masters in international relations from USA, University of Indianapolis. I have attempted, I have given interview, UPSC interview twice. And one more thing, this is the first lecture of a series which we have launched recently. The name of the series is IR4O, Deconstructing the Global Pulse. तो ये ज़्यादातर जो लेक्चर अब IR के आएंगे, ये बेसिकली PSIR ऑप्शनल स्टूडेंट्स प्लस UPSC GS2 को ही देखकर ध्यान में, उन्हीं को ध्यान में रखकर I'll be making. Okay, so you can watch it. वो आप प्लेलिस्ट को एक्सेस कर सकते हो जहाँ पे वो लिखा होगा IR4O और वहाँ पे ये सारे लेक्चर्स अपलोडेड मिलेंगे. Okay, so let's start with this new nuclear age. So see, these are the sources of my study. ये जो book है, this book, The New Nuclear Age, so it was actually, this book has started a debate that whether or have we entered into a new nuclear age that is qualitatively different from the previous age. Okay, so this is one book. In addition to this book, I have taken help of magazine called Foreign Policy and Foreign Affairs. These are two different magazines. Foreign Policy or Foreign Affairs, दोनों अलग-अलग magazine हैं, and then the Caravan magazine. So इन चारों को मैंने help लिया है. I have tried to understand कि how it could be made more contextual and relevant for UPSC students. Okay, so पूरा मेरा ख्याल ये रखा गया है. I have like taken care of that thing कि ये जो lecture लूँ, that is directly helpful to you in your UPSC preparation. Okay, so let's start. यही book है. You can buy it also. This book cost you somewhere around $29. $29 ये आपको अभी पड़ेगा approximately 2300 rupees. अगर आपको खरीदना है, you can buy this book. Okay, The New Nuclear Age. So context. Let us understand what is happening. Why there has been argument on this issue. So what is happening recently? World is entering a new nuclear age. क्या हो रहा है? World जो है, it is entering in a new nuclear age as nuclear weapons are returning to the fore of international statecraft in a ways unseen after the Cold War. Since the end of the Cold War, the issue of nuclear question, yesterday also Ankit raised the same issue. Sir, we have taken around 5 lectures. But nuclear questions are not that much important. But let me clarify you once again, this issue is again gaining limelight specifically since 2023, and this year and the next year you can expect at least 1 or 2 questions from nuclear questions. There are multiple reasons. One is decision of the Russia to come out of the New START treaty. In 2026 already this New START treaty would expire. Second is the decision of the United States of America to attack on Iran, decision of USA as well as the Israel. And the third is there is a recent US security document that is suggesting that Pakistan is going for ICBM capability, and that is a threat for not just United States of America but also for India. So nuclear question is once again becoming or coming to the fore or coming to the limelight. Okay, so heightened nuclear risk is visible. Abhi you can see ki how much nuclear threat is visible now. Like major powers like Russia, they have issued open threat for nuclear strike. Second is China and North Korea both are continuing to grow their arsenal. जो numbers उनके थे, अभी आप सुनोगे 2019 तक चाइना के पास total nuclear warhead was only 300, which by January 2025 has already crossed 600, and it is expected that by 2030 it would cross 1000, and by 2035 it would cross even 1500 or more than that. Are you getting? In the light of this, it is a cause of concern. Then, and there is a new prospect for proliferation in the Middle East and the East Asia. Next is recent Israel and America preemptive strike against Iran. This happened in the month of June only. Also suggests heightened nuclear risk. Abhi recently, both Israel and the United States of America decided to go for preemptive strike. So that also shows some kind of heightened nuclear risk. So let us understand what is third nuclear age. सबसे पहले, this term has not been coined. एक तो in international relations, things are seen in relative perspective. So there is no beginning or end of second nuclear age or third nuclear age. On the basis of certain characteristics, you make a distinction. Okay, this is the third nuclear age or second nuclear age. So this term third nuclear age has been coined by many people. बहुत सारे different political scientists and international relations experts, they are using right now the term the third nuclear age. In fact, अंकित पांडा ने तो अपने बुक का नाम ही रख दिया the new nuclear age. Are you getting? So both Bipin Narang is a MIT professor, as well as Ankit Panda, both argue that the world has entered a third nuclear age. जो दुनिया जो है वो third nuclear age में पहुंच चुकी है, and it is marked by renewed focus on nuclear weapons and deterrence. What exactly happened after the end of the Cold War? There was not much focus on nuclear weapons. I'll be telling you few of the important hawks who always advocated realist foreign policy. Even they started seeing nuclear weapon as a weapon of mass destruction. They started seeing that we should get rid of nuclear weapons. So that perspective is changing, and that is visible from multiple things. So that is why characteristic features of third nuclear age. पहला जो characteristic feature है अमित, वो ये है, there is unpredictable global dynamics. What is happening? Unpredictable global dynamics यहाँ पे बोलने का मतलब क्या है कि हो सकता है, we do not know, it is a possibility that there could be synchronization of military aggression. सोचो, एक possibility ये सोचो, what would happen if right now Russia is attacking Ukraine and simultaneously China has decided to attack Taiwan, and simultaneously North Korea has decided to attack South Korea. How much big security threat it would cause for the United States of America and its allies? Think of it. Agar if they would start synchronizing their military aggression, so that is the first important thing. Second is nth nation problem. Nth nation problem already I taught you. Hadley Bull का concept मैंने बताया था कि nuclear proliferation that is increasing. Iran is going for it. In fact, many of the core American allies, now they want to develop nuclear weapons. So that is a nth nation problem. This threat is emerging once again. Third is breakdown of previous diplomatic norms. There was like diplomatic norms, there was like consensus among important major players. जो भी important major players हैं, चाहे वो रशिया हो, चाहे वो अमेरिका हो, चाहे और भी countries हो, एक consensus ये था कि we should try to sort out all the nuclear questions in between, and we should try to keep a limit on overall deployment of nuclear warhead, and that consensus is breaking down now. Are you getting? जो पहले का जो consensus था, that is breaking down, that norms is breaking down, and that is visible through the decision of the Russia. Russia decided to suspend its participation from New START treaty. Okay, next is deployment of nuclear weapon in Belarus by Russia. This is another first. First time a country is deploying its, ऐसे अमेरिका का भी theater missile has been placed in many of the NATO countries. But again, यहाँ पर now Russia has decided to deploy nuclear weapons in Belarus. So these are the few features of third nuclear age. इसीलिए मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि ये थर्ड न्यूक्लियर एज जो है, अगेन कोई एक पर्टिकुलर डेट नहीं है कि इस दिन से शुरू हुआ है. देयर आर सर्टेन कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स एंड ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ दैट कैरेक्टरिस्टिक most of the international relations experts they are saying that now there is it's a new nuclear age. It's qualitatively different from the previous nuclear age. Okay, so yahan tak koi dikkat clear hai online student? Now let us understand what was the first nuclear age. Ab jab when we are talking about the third nuclear age, so it means there must be difference between first nuclear age, second nuclear age and the third nuclear age, right? So what was the first nuclear age? अब तुम्हें पता है the first nuclear weapon that was used, that was in 1945, right? After the end of the World War, now the first nuclear age started, and the first nuclear age, the characteristic feature was Cold War. Already I taught you. Bipolarity, right? There were two superpowers and they were maintaining bipolarity. So the first nuclear age was characterized by bipolarity, and it was based on mad doctrine. That is, in case if we would ever try to use nuclear weapons against someone, so that would lead to mutually assured destruction of both of the side. America bhi barbad hoga, USSR bhi barbad hoga. So consequently, because of this mad doctrine, there was some sort of fragile peace. Fragile peace was there through arms control agreement. ये जो देखते हो तुम लोग अभी ABMTT, anti ballistic measure, या decision to bring this NPT, or decision to bring this SOT, a strategic offensive reduction treaty. तो ये सब क्या था? Basically they were trying to maintain this fragile peace so that there cannot be a direct nuclear war. Okay, so this was the characteristic feature of the first nuclear age. Now what happened? We already know कि disintegration of the Soviet Union happened, right? End of the Cold War happened. So after the end of the Cold War, a new nuclear age started, and this nuclear age was dominated by USA. ये जो second nuclear age है, that was dominated by USA, because though there were all the P5s who were possessing nuclear weapons, but then also no P5 were able to challenge America alone. Are you getting? Militarily, America was superpower. So the second nuclear age, it was dominated by United States of America. It was marked by end of the Cold War and disintegration of the USSR. So though America was dominating, but America was developing consensus among the countries that there should be some kind of curve on nuclear proliferation. Nuclear proliferation को support नहीं करना है. So what you would see, consequently during second nuclear age, there was optimism for nuclear disarmament. एक optimism हुआ, लगा कि nuclear disarmament is not a distant possibility, it can also be achieved. There was an optimism for nuclear disarmament, public calling for end of the nuclear weapons. There was demand from various quarters, including civil society, including track 2 diplomats. They all started calling that now we should end this nuclear weapon, because nuclear weapon is a real and genuine threat to the global peace. ठीक है? समझ में आ रहा है मन? So this was the characteristic of second nuclear age. Now coming to nuclear dynamics of third nuclear age. अब now we are saying कि we have entered into third nuclear age, so there must be certain specific dynamics that is showing that we have entered into third nuclear age. So the first important thing is Israel and USA preemptive strike on Iran. It shows challenge, like first is challenge to international law and challenge to NPT. अभी देखो, both Israel and USA, they decided to go for preemptive strike against Iran. So what challenges it is presenting? Number one, the country is going beyond the remit that has been given under the NPT. So that is a direct challenge to NPT also, and at the same time to international law also. एक तो ये event हुआ. Second event, इंडिया पाक हॉस्टिलिटी, इंडिया पाक हॉस्टिलिटी जो हुआ ऑपरेशन सिंदूर, तो बार बार स्टेटमेंट आ रहा था ट्रम्प साहब का कि वी हैव बिकॉज ऑफ अस लाइक द थ्रेट ऑफ न्यूक्लियर हॉस्टिलिटी that actually went down. Are you getting? So it was seen through a nuclear lens. So this was the second important feature. Third is Russia's nuclear threats over Ukraine. Russia, तुम्हें पता नहीं होगा, in fall of 2022, some of the southern border of the Russia जहां पे conventionally they were losing the battle, in fact at the top level there was a meeting where they decided that they would be using nuclear warhead in case if their अगर वो conventional war में, see Russia was losing the battle and Russia did not want to show itself as a loser. So at that time Russia was even willing to use nuclear weapon against Ukraine. It was only after a call that was made by Mr. Biden that then Russia decided not to use it. There was high probability that Russia would have used nuclear weapon against the Ukraine back in 2022. Sorry. ठीक है? Next is China's nuclear buildup in the mid-2010. China का after specifically China का तो पता होता नहीं है क्योंकि सारे documents उनके बाहर होते नहीं है. They are very much secretive. So in 2010, once the 𝐵𝐸𝐵 came into the power and he decided to expand and modernize Chinese nuclear arsenal. He decided to rebuild many of the ICBM silos. Are you getting? Right now China is making more than 500 ICBM silos inside the country. And that has been proven by many of the satellites, है ना? बार बार उसका न्यूज में पिक्चर हिंदू में भी आता है कि this is where they are constructing their ICBM silos. So it is coincided with deteriorating Russia-West relations. So right now this is the nuclear dynamics of the third nuclear age. Now you are seeing from all these examples, you are seeing that nuclear question is once again becoming very much significant. फिर से जो nuclear question है वो काफी ज़्यादा important बन रहा है. Are you getting? So let us understand what happened in 2000. सबसे पहले समझते हैं ये थर्ड न्यूक्लियर एज आने के पहले का सिचुएशन देखते हैं. In 2009, Barack Obama entered the office, right? Barack Obama became the president of United States of America. So at that time, nuclear weapons looked increasingly superfluous. At that time, even Barack Obama was of the opinion that right now nuclear weapon is not needed. America is not facing any kind of existential threat. In fact, both USA and Russia, they had long been working together to reduce their arsenal. आपको पता होगा कि 2009 में ये होता है and 2010 both Russia and USA entered into New START treaty जिसकी validity was until 2021. Again it was renewed and now validity is up till January 2026, right? So ये New START treaty, okay, understood? So this was the one thing. Second important thing, USA during this period, I'm talking about 2010, USA was quite preoccupied with counter-terrorism and counter-insurgency. आपको पता होगा, in 2001, war on terror started. 2003, war against Iraq started. So, अभी समझो हुआ क्या? After this, USA was not paying much attention to the issue of nuclear question. The focus was on counter-insurgency. USA को अपने forces को बचाना था अफगानिस्तान में, इराक में. Then at the same time, simultaneously, याद करो, this was the period when growth of ISS was happening. Al-Qaeda down हो रहा था and ISS was growing. Are you getting? So for USA, the most important issue that became was counter-terrorism and counter-insurgency. And consequently, focus was not on neither nuclear question nor on great power rivalry. So this was the situation that was happening in 2010. 2010 में कुछ ऐसा situation बन रहा था. Okay, coming to next, what happened again? Next, another important thing that was happening during the same time, that was there was a nuclear parity between USA and Russia. Nuclear parity यहाँ पे बोलने का मतलब ये है कि conventionally जो न्यूक्लियर वॉरहेड दोनों के पास थे, तो वो लगभग दे वर हैविंग द सिमिलर टेक्नोलॉजी, and there was no other country that could have challenged this nuclear parity between USA and Russia. The very idea that any country would attempt to reach nuclear parity with both USA and Russia, that seemed a pipe dream, that seemed just like a dream. It was far-fetched. उनको लगा ही नहीं कि कोई भी country would try to achieve nuclear parity with USA and Russia. Second was American leaders. Consequently, जब उनको लगा कि right now the nuclear parity has been established, no other power is rising, consequently American leaders, they were quite happy in delaying the overall refurbishment of their nuclear weapons. अभी प्रॉब्लम क्या हो गया है कि न्यूक्लियर वेपन्स का रिफर्बिशमेंट अमेरिका ने किया नहीं है, एंड चाइनीज आर डेवलपिंग न्यू टेक्नोलॉजीज. दैट इज द प्रॉब्लम. नाउ यूएसए नीड टू मच फंडिंग. आर यू गेटिंग? सो दैट इज द मेजर प्रॉब्लम. हुआ क्या? सो कॉन्सिक्वेंटली दे वर हैप्पी टू डिले कॉस्टली रिफर्बिशमेंट ऑफ यूएस आर्सेनल. ठीक है, सो एक तो ये हुआ. नेक्स्ट इज there was also public call for ending nuclear weapons. मैं बार बार बता रहा हूं, यूएसए के जो इंपॉर्टेंट हॉक्स थे, छोड़ो डव के बारे में, इवन हॉक्स इंक्लूडिंग हेनरी किसिंगर, इंक्लूडिंग जॉर्ज सुल्ज, सैम नून, विलियम पेरी, ये all four people were top former national security officials. They openly called for abolition of nuclear weapons. इन सब लोगों ने, इन सबको लगा कि द एरा ऑफ न्यूक्लियर वॉर हैज गॉटन ओवर. जैसे कि अंकित को कल लग रहा था, इनको भी लगा कि द एरा ऑफ न्यूक्लियर वॉर हैज गॉटन ओवर, सो वी शुड गेट रिड ऑफ nuclear weapons. So they all publicly in 2010, 2011, 2005, 2013, some of them have openly advocated for the end of nuclear weapons. They portrayed nuclear weapon as a threat to the world peace. Are you getting? America was quite convinced कि the era of nuclear weapon is over now. अभी जो है ठीक है, deterrence के लिए is okay, but we are not going to use it. But suddenly things changed. Suddenly things changed. Let us understand what exactly happening. Now USA is facing existential threat. Threat to the USA has gone up by multiple proportions. USA at that time in 2010, USA was not even willing to see nuclear weapon as a threat, but now they are seeing it. Right now they are facing a high degree of nuclear threat, and this threat is multiplying. How they are multiplying? Now what is happening? The threat of nuclear weapon is lurking from around the world, and almost all those nations are directly opposed or inimical to American interest. Problem nuclear weapons proliferation का नहीं है. ज्यादातर countries, those who are on the verge of acquiring nuclear weapons, they all are inimical to American interest. चाहे वो ईरान हो, चाहे वो चाइना हो, चाहे वो नॉर्थ कोरिया हो, और any other country. Are you getting? वो सबसे ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम क्रिएट कर रहा है. सेकेंड इज चाइना. चाइना, they are on path to nearly quintuple its 2019 stockpile of some nuclear warhead by 2035. चाइनीज ने अपना एक टारगेट रखा है कि by 2035 they would reach to at least 1500 nuclear warhead. Already यूएस का जो सिक्योरिटी रिपोर्ट है उसके हिसाब से they have already reached to 600 operational warhead by January 2025. Are you getting? So this they are going to attain arsenal equivalent in strength to USA and Russia, and this is a problematic situation for America. This is multiplying the threat for the United States of America. अभी मैंने बोला कि in 2010 American leaders were in the belief that now no other country can try to reach to the nuclear parity that has been reached between USA and Russia. But now China is trying to achieve that parity. So this is the first problem. Second is Russia. Russia, first time, a P5 member, he has used the open threat of using nuclear weapon as a shield for its aggression in Ukraine. Are you getting? Russia was aggressive in Ukrainian issue. It was Russia who decided to invade. But now Russia is saying that in case if other country would come, we would not even hesitate from using nuclear weapon. So here nuclear weapon is using as a bargaining tool. कि भैया अगर चाहते हो कि ये वॉर जो है कन्वेंशनल रहे, so you should stop yourself at your border. Don't come in the Ukrainian territory, otherwise we won't hesitate even from using nuclear weapon. Are you getting? That's the second important thing. Third is North Korea. North Korea जो है, it continues to expand its arsenal. In fact, if credible reports are to be believed, now North Korean have made ICBM capable enough to hit even American mainland. In fact, North Korea ने एक बार अमेरिका को बोला कि भाई, if you would be given an option to save Seoul and San Francisco, please save San Francisco. Don't come for Seoul. That was a threat actually. Are you getting? So now they means their nuclear weapon include missiles which are capable of hitting the continental United States of America. Next is Iran. Iran is closer than ever to produce a nuclear weapon. Already we know they have done 60% enrichment, and the recent issues that has happened between Iran and Israel, that is even going to increase their resolve. Are you getting? Next is India and Pakistan. We already know in May 2025 what happened. May 2025, both countries, India and Pakistan, two striking each other's heartland with conventional weapon in the aftermath of a terror attack. आपको पता है कि terror attack हुआ, उसके बाद both countries were using conventional warhead. So it could have escalated to a nuclear standoff. So all these things are right now happening, and that is creating a concern for the world community that once again we are entering into a new nuclear age, and this nuclear age is more damaging, more dangerous for the humanity, for the community. समझ में आया? Coming to next, what are the implication? अब इसका implications क्या क्या हैं खुद समझो. When these threats are becoming more real, so implication. First is it brought nuclear strategy back to the center of US defense concern. Once again, this has brought nuclear strategy back to the center of US defense concern. Abhi bola, for US defense, nuclear question has been relegated to secondary position. For them, the important threat that was emerging was rise of China, or means terrorist threat, or misinformation threat. Nuclear question was not their concern. But what is happening now? Now the recent event is bringing nuclear strategy back to the center of US defense concern. Now more. अब यहाँ पे मैंने 3 words use किए हैं. They require a new nimble-footed approach that must consist of more, different and better. More का मतलब they need more number of nuclear weapons. अगर मान लो कि एक ही साथ उधर चाइना भी अटैक कर रहा है, उधर रशिया भी अटैक कर रहा है, so in order to save their allies and to themselves, they needed more nuclear weapons. Second, they need to have different strategies so that they can fight at various front. अगर different front पे हो रहा है, उधर साउथ कोरिया में चले गए, उधर ताइवान में चले गए, उधर say somewhere else चले गए. So this would be, for that also we would be requiring USA would be requiring a different approach and better. Now they require a nuclear system which is more advanced, which is not redundant one. Are you getting? So this is the one way. Second is, it also introduced some new problems for the USA. पहला problem क्या हुआ खुद से समझो. Good afternoon Huma. First problem is protection of allies from multiple nuclear armed great power rivals at the same time. ये पहले नहीं था. पहले USA was concerned about saving its allies from Russia, but now USA is facing a new danger where USA needs to protect its allies from multiple nuclear armed great power rivals. चाइना से भी बचाना है, रशिया से भी बचाना है, ईरान से भी बचाना है. आर यू गेटिंग? सो दिस एंड उसमें भी एक और प्रॉब्लम क्या है कि चाइना इज अबाउट टू रीच टू अ पैरिटी. सो यूएसए का जो न्यूक्लियर डिजाइन है, न्यूक्लियर जो पावर है, at currently it is like it can easily face one front war. It can easily like deter any of the attacks made by the Russia, but it cannot deter an attack if Russia and the China both simultaneously decide to attack. Are you getting? जो आपने न्यूक्लियर पावर डेवलप किया था, that you developed thinking of Russia, but the similar another power is emerging, and उसके लिए you need to develop more capability. So the first problem is protection of allies from multiple nuclear armed great power rivals at the same time. Second is possibility of two or more nuclear powers trying to synchronize military aggression against their neighbors. अभी मैंने बताया, think of a situation, Russia has already launched a war. I think I have done it in the next page. Okay, आगे इसको करेंगे, ठीक है. सो अभी मैं बताऊंगा इसका मतलब क्या है. थिंक ऑफ अ सिचुएशन व्हेन टू एंटागोनिस्टिक पावर्स, दोज हु आर फाइटिंग अगेंस्ट अमेरिका, दे हैव डिसाइडेड टू सिंक्रोनाइज देयर अटैक. अब वो पॉसिबिलिटी सोचो कि क्या होगा. आर यू गेटिंग? एंड द थर्ड इज पुशिंग अलाइज टू कंसिडर एक्वायरिंग देयर ओन न्यूक्लियर वेपन्स. अब जब अलाइज को ये लग जाएगा कि अमेरिकन लैक्स कैपेसिटी to defend them against this rising threat, so what would happen? They would start thinking that they should develop their own nuclear weapons, and that would give another blow to NPT, that would also cause the issue of nth nation problem again. Are you getting? So let us understand what is happening. China's big play. Political science में जब भी आंसर लिखेंगे तो कोई ना कोई जो जिनका नाम है, जैसे बिपिन नारंग का नाम है, अंकित पांडा का नाम है, तो वो नाम लिखते जाना है, ठीक है. अकॉर्डिंग टू बिपिन नारंग, द मोस्ट मोमेंटस शिफ्ट इन द ग्लोबल न्यूक्लियर वेपन्स लैंडस्केप. बिपिन नारंग क्या बोलते हैं कि द मोस्ट मोमेंटस शिफ्ट इन द ग्लोबल न्यूक्लियर वेपन्स लैंडस्केप इज चाइनाज डिटर्मिनेशन टू बिकम अ न्यूक्लियर सुपर पावर हाउस. चाइना का जो कंसर्न था सिंस 1960s, इट वाज वेरी सर्कमस्क्राइब्ड, बहुत लिमिटेड था, बट नाउ चाइना इज बिकमिंग मोर एम्बिशियस. चाइना मिडिल किंगडम कॉम्प्लेक्स से बाहर आके चाइना इज नाउ सीइंग इटसेल्फ एज अ राइजिंग हेजेमन. आर यू गेटिंग? एंड इट इज लुकिंग फॉर मोर स्पेस, और ज्यादा स्पेस के लिए चाइना को और न्यूक्लियर सुपर पावर भी खुद को बनाना पड़ेगा. आर यू गेटिंग? सो what exactly happened? As recently as 2019, the Chinese arsenal scarcely factored into US nuclear strategy. Condition ये था कि until 2019, Chinese nuclear arsenal was not even factored by the American policymaker. It was completely irrelevant for America. But now the situation is alarming, situation is changing. क्या हो क्या रहा है पहले देखो. In 1964, Chinese जो है they tested their nuclear weapon first time in 1964. So Beijing's out nuclear capabilities almost exclusively for defensive purposes. जब 1964 में उन्होंने अपना nuclear weapon को detonate किया था, तो उस समय their aim was quite limited. उनका aim simply ये था कि we are doing it so that it can allow us to develop our defensive capability and we can save ourselves from both America and USSR. USSR से भी बचाना है, अमेरिका से भी बचाना है. Are you getting? So it was done only for defensive purpose. उस समय चाइना का कोई गोल नहीं था that they should become a hegemon. Are you getting? So consequently, to achieve this goal, Beijing maintained a handful of unfueled ICBM. वो करते क्या थे कि जो इंटरकॉन्टिनेंटल बैलिस्टिक मिसाइल थे कुछ उन्होंने अनफ्यूल्ड करके रखा था, मतलब बिल्कुल खोल के रखा हुआ था, एंड स्टोर द वॉर हेड सेपरेटली. अगर कभी जरूरत भी पड़ा तो उनको 1-2 दिन वो फिर से अरेंज करने में लगता, so that they could have launched a nuclear attack. Are you getting? So this was accompanied by no first use pledge. So when they tested their nuclear weapon, so उन्होंने सीधा बोला था this was only for defensive purpose, and at the same time they made a no first use pledge कि अगर in case if we would be fighting a war, so we would not be the first one to use nuclear weapon. ठीक है? Now, as argued by Ankit Panda in his book The New Nuclear Age, sometime during the last decade, ये जो पिछले साल वाला जो decade देख रहे हो, मतलब 2010 से लेके 2020, we do not know exactly when Xi Jinping ordered this. लेकिन during the last decade, Chinese leaders Xi Jinping ordered an expansion of his country's nuclear arsenal. He ordered that the nuclear arsenal should be expanded and we should develop more and more capability. Consequently, what happened? Few steps were taken. जैसे कि hundreds of new ICBM silos, 100 से भी ज़्यादा नए intercontinental ballistic missile का silos बनाया गया, so that they can launch counter attack against the America whenever it wants. अगर अमेरिका का अटैक आया, so these silos would protect their missiles, and later on these ICBM can be launched against America. Second, new force to include regional low-yield ballistic missiles. Low-yield ballistic missiles को भी develop करने के लिए बोला, so that those could be used in case of conflict in Korean Peninsula, in case of conflict in Taiwan. Are you getting? And possibly cruise missile, hypersonic delivery system. At the same time, an orbital warhead. In fact, UPSC का प्री में क्वेश्चन आया था फ्रैक्शनल ऑर्बिटल बम्बार्डमेंट सिस्टम FOBS. सो ये यही है. They also launched an orbital warhead delivery system designed to evade US missile defenses, so that they can completely avoid or they cannot be detected even by American defense strategy, defense missiles. ठीक है? उस केस में अमेरिका पे जहां अटैक वो करना चाहेंगे, they can make that attack. Are you getting? So, and expanding submarine based deterrent designed to survive a nuclear first strike. In case if America would go for first strike, so they are also developing their second strike capability. ठीक है? तो जितने भी submarines हैं उनको और ज्यादा एक्टिव कर रहे हैं, उनको और ज्यादा एडवांस्ड बना रहे हैं. So these are the steps that were taken in the period between 2010 to 2019. इस decade में these things were taken. Are you getting? So yes, China is building this arsenal even faster than Washington had initially anticipated. Washington को लग रहा था कि 10 साल का तो बात है, so 10 years में maximum they would be able to double their warhead. But what has happened? चाइना का एंड अमेरिका का एंटिसिपेशन था by 2030 they would reach to 600. But now already that anticipation has failed. Now already Chinese has crossed that threshold back in January itself. जो सिप्री का रिपोर्ट है और इसके अलावा जो इंटेलिजेंस एजेंसीज का रिपोर्ट है, Chinese have already acquired more than 600 nuclear warhead by just January of 2025. So in just 5 years, it has doubled its number of operational warhead to 600, a figure that is estimated to reach 1000 by 2030 and possibly 1500 by 2035. जो अभी का रुझान आ रहा है उसके हिसाब से लग रहा है कि by 2035 China would be able to have more than 1500 nuclear warhead in their hand. ठीक है? Next is, consequently, the USA may soon face not one but two rival great power with large diverse strategic nuclear forces comparable to its own. अभी जो American forces हैं, nuclear forces, they are able to or they are capable of, fighting against one, means against Russia only, deter Russian only. But right now what is happening? As the Chinese would advance their capability, America needs to fight at two different fronts. They are facing two danger, one at the Russian level, another at the Chinese level. Are you getting? So complicated dilemma for US planners, and that is causing dilemma for US planner. हो क्या रहा है पहले समझो. Since the beginning of nuclear age, American nuclear strategy has centered on convincing any adversary. अमेरिका का जो न्यूक्लियर, जब से न्यूक्लियर एज शुरू हुआ है, वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट सिंस 1945, अमेरिका का जो न्यूक्लियर स्ट्रेटजी रहा है दैट इज ऑन कन्विंसिंग एनी एडवर्सरी दैट देयर इज नो वायबल पाथवे टू यूजिंग न्यूक्लियर वेपन्स टू अचीव इट्स पॉलिटिकल और मिलिट्री गोल्स अगेंस्ट द यूएसए. अमेरिका उनको समझाया है कि यूज ऑफ न्यूक्लियर वेपन्स और देयर इज नो अदर वायबल पाथवे थ्रू विच यू कैन अचीव योर सोशल और पॉलिटिकल गोल्स. और ये समझाने के पीछे अमेरिका बेसिकली इस द स्ट्रेटजी विच अमेरिका यूजेस, उसमें 3 पार्ट थे. पहला पार्ट ये था कि सर्वाइव अ फर्स्ट स्ट्राइक एंड इंपोज एश्योर्ड डिस्ट्रक्शन ऑन इट्स अटैकर. पहला ये है, देखो बहुत कुछ तो बता करना नहीं ना पड़ता है, आप समझा देते हो, ठीक है, डिपेंडिंग अपॉन योर कैपेबिलिटी अगला समझ जाता है, ठीक है. सो ये क्या बोल रहे हैं कि यूएसए का जो न्यूक्लियर स्ट्रेटजी था इट वाज बेस्ड ऑन 3 पार्ट्स. फर्स्ट वाज इन केस if any country is going for nuclear war against America. So America was having that capability to survive the first attack and then imposed assured destruction on its attacker. मतलब कि America was having second strike capability. तो अगले को तो डर में रहेगा ना कि अब मैं अटैक भी करूंगा तो मैं नहीं बचूंगा. सेकेंड, meaningfully limit the amount of damage the attacker can inflict on the US. अभी आऊंगा इस पे. This is called counter strike or counter force capability. And third, the USA arsenal need to be large and dynamic. अब second पहले देखो. Meaningfully limit the amount of damage the attacker can inflict on the US. USA to maintain enough capability to destroy as many of the attacker's nuclear weapon as practicable before or after they are launched. They should not be allowed to land inside the American territory. आपको अपना capability इस तरीके से develop करना है कि most of those nuclear weapons, when they are being launched or when they have been launched, they should be destroyed. And this was known as counter force targeting. Are you getting? And America was capable of that. Are you getting? So the ability to limit damage is a core requirement of US deterrence strategy. Are you getting? Second जो component ये था, पहला तो ये था कि second strike capability. अगर एक बार strike भी कर दिए तब भी बेटा तेरे को छोड़ूंगा नहीं. Second was counter force targeting, and counter force targeting was nothing but ability to limit damage. अगर damage भी हो रहा है तो वो limited damage ho. Are you getting? And third important thing, the US arsenal need to be large and dynamic to retain sufficient nuclear capabilities after an initial exchange. एक बार exchange हो गया nuclear weapons का, say USA and Russia both are fighting, but then also even after that USA must be having sufficient nuclear capabilities. उसके पीछे 2 रीजन है. पहला, जो डिफिटेड, जो जिसको हराया, मान लो कि रशिया हारा है, कोई और कंट्री हारा, सो दे मे मेक अनदर स्ट्राइक. ऑब्वियस सी बात है, इट वाज अ लॉस ऑफ प्रेस्टीज. यू नेवर नो व्हेन यू वुड स्टार्ट वर्किंग एज अ मैडमैन. आर यू गेटिंग? तो ये भी हो सकता है. या सम अदर अपॉर्चुनिस्टिक इन्वेडर्स, कोई और कंट्री है, व्हेन दे वुड सेंस दैट अमेरिका इज वीक, सो दे कुड यूज इट एज अ प्लॉय टू अटैक यू. Are you getting? So in order to save yourself from that situation, you need to build sufficient nuclear capabilities after an initial exchange. So American nuclear policy जो है, basically it was based on these 3 strategy only. समझ में आ गया? पहला strategy क्या था? Yes, second attack, capability of second attack. Second strategy? Yes, counter force strategy. And third is, that is sufficient nuclear capability after an initial. And this basically this strategy worked America, means helped America in the last 60 to 70 years. But now the new problems are emerging. यही strategy जो है अमेरिका पिछले 60 से 70 साल तक मेंटेन किया. अभी इशू क्या आ गया है? USA 3-pronged strategy is designed to meet these three goals with respect to only Russia. But what is happening now? Other than Russia, China is also emerging. अभी तक सिर्फ रशिया का इशू था, but now China is also emerging. Second is current US arsenal insufficient to do so against both. करंट जो अमेरिकन आर्सेनल है, न्यूक्लियर बॉम्ब्स जो अमेरिका के पास पड़े हुए हैं, दे कैन नॉट साइमल्टेनियसली अफेक्ट बोथ रशिया एंड चाइना. वो जो थ्री प्रोंग्ड स्ट्रेटजी है, दैट कैन नॉट वर्क टुगेदर अगेंस्ट बोथ एडवर्सरीज टुगेदर. ये प्रॉब्लम है. अभी तक दैट थ्री स्ट्रेटजी वाला जो that was working because at that time the threat was only from Russia, but now there is a threat, credible threat that is coming from two different sides, and America का जो current nuclear capability है, that is not enough to meet both of the challenges together. समझ में आया? आपने न्यूक्लियर कैपेबिलिटी ये सोच के बनाया था कि there would be only one country who is having right now nuclear parity, but what has happened now? Now there are two countries who are having nuclear parity. Understood? And this is a cause of concern for America as well as global community. What is the issue? Bipin Narang and Pranay Vaddi जो हैं, he is also a professor of specifically he is a professor of nuclear technology at MIT. MIT में Center for Nuclear Studies है, वहाँ ये प्रोफेसर हैं. प्रणय वद्दी, सारे इंडियंस ही हैं लगभग. ठीक है, अमेरिका का ज्यादातर जो इंपॉर्टेंट न्यूक्लियर डिपार्टमेंट्स है, वहां पे इंडियंस बहुत सारे भरे हुए हैं. ठीक है, सो व्हाट इज द इशू? अ स्पेसिफिक कंपोजिशन ऑफ बीजिंग्स न्यू आर्सेनल. प्रॉब्लम इज अ स्पेसिफिक कंपोजिशन ऑफ बीजिंग न्यू आर्सेनल. पहले क्या है? पहले जो किसके पास? अमेरिका का, चाइना के पास. प्रीवियसली इट इज फोकस्ड ऑन बिल्डिंग अप सर्वाइवेबल न्यूक्लियर फोर्सेस. अभी तक चाइना का जो स्ट्रेटजी था वो यही तो था कि वी शुड बी हैविंग न्यूक्लियर फोर्सेस दैट कैन एक्चुअली वो सर्वाइवेबल हो. मतलब इन केस इफ यूएसए और इफ यूएसएसआर इज ब्लैकमेलिंग, सो उस केस में वी कैन बी एबल टू हैंडल इट, वी कैन बी एबल टू डिटर देम, राइट? व्हाट इज हैपनिंग नाउ? दे आर बिल्डिंग हंड्रेड्स ऑफ न्यू सिलोज फॉर लैंड बेस्ड आईसीबीएम. अभी चाइनीज आर डेवलपिंग मोर देन 100 silos, ICBM silos. A problem क्या है? Now, in case if USA want to limit their damage coming from China, USA need to account for every single silos. अब अगर चाइना ने 200 silos डेवलप कर लिया है, ये अगर तुम 200 जान रहे हो, तब अगर उन्होंने 300 किया हुआ है, तुम्हारा सैटेलाइट 200 डिटेक्ट किया है, हाउ वुड यू मैनेज? प्रॉब्लम इस समझ में आ रहा है क्या है? नाउ अमेरिका का क्रेडिबिलिटी जो है और प्रॉपर डिटरेंस एस्टैब्लिश होने के लिए व्हाट इट नीड्स टू क्रेडिबली लिमिट डैमेज फ्रॉम चाइना, एंड इट नीड्स टू अकाउंट फॉर ईच न्यू सिलोज, विच इज क्वाइट इम्पॉसिबल. 200 सिलोज हो सकता है कहीं माउंटेन में अंदर अंदर से वो बना के रखे हुए हो, नोबडी नोज. हमेशा तो सैटेलाइट से तो वहां पे स्पाई तो किए नहीं हो. आर यू गेटिंग? सो दैट इज अनदर इंपॉर्टेंट प्रॉब्लम. सेकेंड इज देयर इज अ fundamental shift in the orientation of China's nuclear strategy. What we are witnessing कि चाइना का जो न्यूक्लियर स्ट्रेटजी है उसमें फंडामेंटल शिफ्ट्स आर बीइंग ऑब्जर्व्ड. क्या क्या देखे जा रहे हैं? पहले देखो, चाइना कुड यूज लोअर इल्ड वेपन लोकली इन अ बैटल अगेंस्ट कन्वेंशनल फोर्सेस. अगर कन्वेंशनल फोर्सेस के साथ चाइना लड़ रहा है, सो उस केस में चाइनीज हैव ऑलरेडी डेवलप्ड लोअर इल्ड वेपन्स. Those could be used, and in the battlefield में भी, and to deter US from using similar capabilities. अगर USA also decides to use such low yield weapons, so basically Chinese के पास already वो present है, so Chinese would deter the USA from using such capability in the conventional warfare. Are you getting? So अभी USA के लिए क्या हो गया ना, आगे कुआं पीछे खाई. Are you getting? अगर तुम नहीं गए ताइवान के साथ, so that would give a wrong message to the world community that USA would not be able to preserve this order. अगर गए तो उस केस में there are high chances that nuclear war would break out. Are you getting? Next is danger at every corner. ये तो चाइना का इशू था. रशिया का देखो, a steamrolled over almost every arms control with Washington. You have already seen New START treaty. New START treaty was trying to impose kind of quantitative control on both of the countries. Russia has decided to come out of it. North Korea, they are already expanding its nuclear arsenal. Abhi bataya, they have developed those nuclear weapons which can even land in American continent. Third is Iran. Recent preemptive strike on Iran, वो उनका रिजॉल्व को बढ़ाएगा कि कम करेगा? बढ़ाएगा, राइट? अब तो उनको ये भी लगेगा कि अगर न्यूक्लियर वेपन नहीं डेवलप करेंगे अमन, सो हमारा जो एग्जिस्टेंस है उस पे ही थ्रेट आ गया है. आर यू गेटिंग? सो दो अभी डर के मारे वो कुछ भी साइन कर लें, बट ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम दे वुड ट्राई टू गेन न्यूक्लियर वेपन्स एट एनी कॉस्ट, चाहे वो बिल्कुल ही कन्वेंस मींस बिल्कुल ही से आउटडेटेड न्यूक्लियर वेपन क्यों ना हो, बट दे वुड ट्राई टू मेक वन. नेक्स्ट इज पाकिस्तान. पाकिस्तान का इशू कुछ और है. ऑन वन हैंड दे आर डेवलपिंग ICBM, on the other hand there is a chances of proliferation to non-state actors. Think of the consequences if nuclear weapons get in the hands of non-state actors. अगर nuclear weapon जो है वो non-state actors के हाथ में चला जाता है. Think of the consequences. Are you getting? So this is the danger that is lurking from almost all corners. Let us start with Russia. Russia में what we are witnessing? The first thing is they have a steamrolled over almost every arms control with Washington. Washington के साथ जितने भी लगभग आर्म्स कंट्रोल एग्रीमेंट थे, सबसे ऑलमोस्ट दे आर आउट. सस्पेंशन ऑफ 2010 न्यू स्टार्ट ट्रीटी, राइट? They have also revised its nuclear doctrine. I'll come to that. How they have revised its nuclear doctrine. They have also decided to deploy Russian nuclear weapons in neighboring Belarus. Belarus, which is a non-nuclear state, वहां पे रशिया ने अपना न्यूक्लियर वेपन को डिप्लॉय किया है. Are you getting? So they have made explicit nuclear threat against the West. मैंने ऑलरेडी तुम्हें बताया था कि 2022 में रशिया was about to lose battle at the southern sides. तो उस समय in order to show to the world that Russia cannot be defeated, they were willing to even use nuclear weapons. क्या लिख रहा है? In fall of 2022, Russia's front in southern Ukraine appeared at risk of collapse. At that time, Russian senior leaders they discussed even using low-yield nuclear weapon to avoid conventional defeat. But it was only after the phone call by Joe Biden that Russia decided not to use nuclear weapon against Ukraine. Are you getting? So, अभी देखो what has happened. Suspension of 2010 New START Treaty. थोड़ा सा START Treaty के बारे में जान लीजिए. This was signed in 2010. 2010 में New START Treaty was signed. It is important also for pre. ध्यान में रखिएगा. This is very much important for prelims. So this was signed in 2010 and it was effective, it came into effect from 2011. They placed new verifiable limits on intercontinental range nuclear weapons. वहां पे उन्होंने बोल दिया कि 1550 से ज्यादा intercontinental range nuclear weapons cannot be deployed. Are you getting? So they placed verifiable limit. Both America can verify in Russia, Russia can verify in America. So it was given 7 years were given to both of the countries to scale back their stockpile of strategic offensive arms. दोनों countries both got 7 years so that they can overall reduce or scale back their stockpiles. जो भी 1550 से ऊपर थे उसको खत्म करना था या कम करना था, and detailed verification was done. In 2023, इसी 2023 में Russia announced that Russia suspend its participation in the New START. Russia decided कि now Russia would not participate in New START and consequently this term is not now applicable on Russia. कोई दिक्कत यहाँ तक? क्लियर है? थोड़ा सा ये समझ लो, प्री के लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. यूएस रशियन स्ट्रेटजिक आर्म्स कंट्रोल एग्रीमेंट प्री के लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. first was ABM treaty, anti-ballistic missile treaty, that was signed in 1972. आप लोग को ऑलरेडी जब न्यूक्लियर इशू बता रहा था तो taught you that USA decided to make an exit from ABM treaty in 2002. 2002 में USA unilaterally came out of it. Unilaterally USA decided to come out of it. Second was Intermediate Range Nuclear Force Treaty, INF treaty. तो वो बेसिकली क्या कर रहा था, इंटरमीडिएट रेंज का जो न्यूक्लियर वेपन्स था 500 किलोमीटर से लेके 5500 किलोमीटर तक, सो उस पे लिमिट वर इम्पोज्ड ऑन बोथ यूएसए एंड रशिया. दिस वाज साइंड इन 1988, लेकिन ड्यूरिंग ट्रम्प टाइम यूएसए डिसाइडेड टू विथड्रॉ फ्रॉम दिस आईएनएफ ट्रीटी. सो अगेन दिस आईएनएफ ट्रीटी हैज आल्सो बीन सस्पेंडेड, यू कैन से. इससे अमेरिका वापस आ गया. स्टार्ट वन, this was signed in 1991 and it came into effect in 1994. This expired in 2009 and it barred both country, दोनों को, USA and Russia, दोनों को it barred from deploying more than 6,000 nuclear warhead. They cannot deploy more than 6,000 nuclear वॉरहेड. 6000 से ज्यादा न्यूक्लियर वॉरहेड को दोनों एक समय पर डिप्लॉय नहीं कर सकते हैं, एंड दे कैन नॉट डिप्लॉय मोर देन 1600 इंटरकॉन्टिनेंटल बैलिस्टिक मिसाइल्स. डन. न्यू स्टार्ट, ये स्टार्ट वन जो है एक्सपायर किया 2009 में. बोथ अमेरिका एंड रशिया वंस अगेन केम टुगेदर एंड दे नेगोशिएटेड न्यू स्टार्ट. लेकिन न्यू स्टार्ट के पहले एक और हुआ था, दैट वाज कॉल्ड सॉट स्ट्रेटजिक ऑफेंसिव रिडक्शन ट्रीटी. सो बेसिकली दोनों ने उसमें यह डिसाइड किया था कि जो स्ट्रेटजिक आर्सेनल्स हैं, कुछ स्ट्रेटजिक आर्म्स उसमें डिफाइन किए हुए थे, तो वो उस पे भी क्वांटिटेटिव लिमिट वाज गिवन कि 1717 प्रिंस जी 1700 से 2200 के बीच से ज्यादा वॉरहेड कैन नॉट बी डिप्लॉयड. ठीक है. एंड नेक्स्ट इज न्यू स्टार्ट. दिस वाज साइंड इन 2010 and it was legally binding for both of the countries. दोनों के लिए legally binding था. It limits each side to 1550 strategic nuclear warhead. 1550 nuclear warhead से ज्यादा both could not have deployed. कोई दिक्कत यहां तक क्लियर है? ये प्री के लिए भी इंपॉर्टेंट है. ऑल द यूट्यूब स्टूडेंट्स प्लीज डू राइट इट. इनको अच्छे से लिख लीजिएगा. दिस इज इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर योर प्री ऑल्सो. कोई दिक्कत? अब चलते हैं. रिवाइज इट्स न्यूक्लियर डॉक्ट्रिन. ओके. नाउ रशिया हैज रिवाइज इट्स न्यूक्लियर डॉक्ट्रिन. अभी तक पहले रशिया का जो डॉक्ट्रिन था दैट गॉट रिवाइज्ड इन 2023. 2023 में दे हैव डिसाइडेड टू रिवाइज देयर न्यूक्लियर डॉक्ट्रिन. व्हाट दे डिड? नाउ रशिया ओपनली सेड they would consider targeting nuclear armed states. पहले समझो किस किस के लिए बोला. ब्रिटेन के लिए, फ्रांस के लिए एंड यूएसए के लिए. रशिया ने ये बोला कि we would not hesitate from targeting these nuclear armed states who are right now assisting and siding with a belligerent nation called Ukraine. Understood? Open threat था यूएसए को, यूके को एंड फ्रांस को. बोला क्या कि सच एज फ्रांस, यूके एंड यूएस दैट प्रोवाइड एड टू अ नॉन न्यूक्लियर बिलिजरेंट एट वॉर विथ रशिया. तो इसके पहले ऐसा कोई थ्रेट नहीं था. दे हैव चेंज देयर न्यूक्लियर डॉक्ट्रिन और उन्होंने बोला कि दे वुड इवन कंसीडर यूजिंग न्यूक्लियर वेपन अगेंस्ट न्यूक्लियर आर्म्ड स्टेट्स हु आर राइट नाउ हेल्पिंग यूक्रेन. सेकेंड, दे बिगन टू डिप्लॉय रशियन न्यूक्लियर वेपन्स इन नेबरिंग बेलारूस. उसी न्यूक्लियर डॉक्ट्रिन में चेंज करके पहले नॉन न्यूक्लियर स्टेट्स में रशिया ने अलाउ नहीं किया था कि दे कैन डिप्लॉय न्यूक्लियर वेपन्स, बट नाउ दे हैव चेंज देयर न्यूक्लियर डॉक्ट्रिन एंड अंडर द न्यू न्यूक्लियर डॉक्ट्रिन रशिया इन ऑर्डर टू serve its national interest, Russia can decide to deploy its nuclear weapon even in non-nuclear weapon states. ठीक है? नाउ नॉर्थ कोरिया, नॉर्थ कोरिया का तो अलग ही मैटर चल रहा है. नॉर्थ कोरिया और यूएसए का जो मैटर है, एक तो मैं बताता हूं, अभी तक प्रीएम्प्टिव स्ट्राइक नॉर्थ कोरिया पे भी हो चुका होता. अगेन एंड अगेन आई एम सेइंग द सेम थिंग जो पहले भी बताया था. इट डिड नॉट हैपन बिकॉज ऑफ द साउथ कोरिया एज वेल एज जापान. North Korea would not have been allowed by the USA or Israel to make nuclear weapon. It was because of the Japan and South Korea they decided not to make any adventure against the North Korea. ठीक है? So they are steadily expanding countries' nuclear arsenal. अभी मैंने बताया था that newer generation of ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles, जो new generation के हैं, which are capable to reaching even US territory, they have made. Second is they added enough regional nuclear weapons to its arsenal. छोटे छोटे tactical nuclear weapons इतने सारे add कर लिए हैं to deter a combined US South Korea attack. So even if USA and South Korea, अगर USA, let's suppose USA is financing, means helping them materially or through military aid, then also the combined USA South Korea cannot right now attack North Korea, क्योंकि उन्होंने छोटे 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 regional nuclear weapons they have already developed. ठीक है? Next is they are also disinterested in Trump administration efforts to reduce nuclear tension in exchange for sanctions relief. Right now they are not that much interested in Trump administration efforts to reduce nuclear tension in exchange for sanction relief. पहले they were interested. America is now telling them कि भैया डिप्लोमेसी के लिए आ जाओ, टेबल पे बैठते हैं. You place some of the restriction on your nuclear weapon program, and in response to that we would give you some sanction relief. But North Korea is not now willing to sit on the table. Are you getting? So this is another important problem. Next is Iran. Iran का क्या problem है? Iran has already been weakened by Israel and US recent attack on nuclear facilities. अभी ईरान और इजराइल, सॉरी यूएसए और इजराइल दोनों ने मिलकर ईरान को वीकेंड किया है. Both have attacked together at Natanz and Fordo nuclear facilities, right? So recent preemptive strike by Israel and the USA on Natanz and Fordo nuclear facilities, we are aware. Second is at the same time in the last 16 to 18 months, 16 से 18 महीने में जितने भी ईरान से रिलेटेड प्रॉक्सी फोर्सेस थे, चाहे वो गाजा में ऑपरेट कर रहा हो, चाहे वो यमन में ऑपरेट कर रहा हो, चाहे वो हिजबुल्लाह लेबनान में हो, चाहे वो सीरिया में हो, almost all those proxy forces have been weakened by Israel and USA. And this is giving a more greater reason for Iran to go for nuclearization. एक तो प्रीएम्प्टिव स्ट्राइक हुआ, एट द सेम टाइम जितने भी ईरान के प्रॉक्सी फोर्सेस हैं, ऑल दोज प्रॉक्सी फोर्सेस हैज बीन डिसमेंटल्ड. सारे प्रॉक्सी फोर्सेस को पिछले 18 से 20 महीने में सिस्टमेटिकली दोज हैव बीन डिसमेंटल्ड. उठा लो किसी का, यमन को ले लो, हिजबुल्लाह को ले लो, कहीं का उठा लो जो प्रॉक्सी फोर्सेस दोज हु वर सपोर्टिंग ईरान, ऑलमोस्ट ऑल दोज हैव बीन डिसमेंटल्ड. सो Iran's network of proxy forces have been dismantled systemically, and Iran may feel urgency to weaponize its nuclear capability. कोई दिक्कत यहां तक समझ में आ रहा है? नेक्स्ट इज पाकिस्तान. पाकिस्तान का अपना क्लेम है. Pakistanis, they have been claiming that their weapon, nuclear weapon, is not made against West or made for USA. Their aim is to deter only India, because India enjoys superiority in conventional fight. अगर conventional India और पाकिस्तान का लड़ाई होगा तो पाकिस्तान is nowhere match to India. Are you getting? So in order to reduce that conventional means gap which is existing right now between India and Pakistan, we need nuclear weapon. This is what Pakistan says. But Problem is US intelligence agencies recently they have concluded that Pakistani military is developing an intercontinental ballistic missile that could reach the continental US. अब यूएसए का एक पॉलिसी है, आप लोग को नहीं पता होगा, पॉलिसी ये है कि जो भी कंट्री जिनके पास आईसीबीएम हो which are capable of reaching to the US mainland poses some threat to the United States of America, whether they are friendly country or not friendly country. Exception are five great eyes country, otherwise बाकी कोई भी country if they are possessing any ICBM which is capable of reaching to their mainland, they should be treated as some kind of enemy. समझ में आया? ये यूएस का अपना नेशनल पॉलिसी है, नेशनल सिक्योरिटी में उनका ऐसा मेंशन है. सो दिस इज माउंटिंग न्यूक्लियर डेंजर्स नाउ विच इज लर्किंग इन नाउ ऑलमोस्ट एवरी रीजन. देख लो, इधर पाकिस्तान है, ईरान है, चाइना है, नॉर्थ कोरिया है. आर यू गेटिंग? सो ऑलमोस्ट ऑल द रीजन्स आर गेटिंग अफेक्टेड. कमिंग टू पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ coordination or collusion among rising nuclear powers. This is another important, very serious problem. There is a possibility of synchronization of attack. There is a possibility of collusion among these nuclear power. अभी तक हम लोग ये सिनेरियो कर रहे हैं कि यूएसए इज वन पावर, रशिया इज वन पावर, चाइना इज वन पावर, नॉर्थ कोरिया इज वन पावर, ईरान इज वन पावर, बट देयर इज ऑलवेज अ पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ coordination or collusion among these powers. खुद सोचो, there is a growing alignment of China and Russia. Since the attack on Ukraine, China and Russia are developing an axis. And we have seen the synchronization in policy of China and Russia. We have seen growing alignment in China and Russia. So what is happening? In 2023, China provided Russia with approximately 90% of its import of goods that are subject to G7 high priority export control list. G7 ने जिन आइटम्स पे बैन लगाया था कि those are subject to high priority export control rule list, तो वो हर 100 प्रोडक्ट में 90 प्रोडक्ट्स have been delivered to Russia by China. And that has allowed the Russia to sustain war economy. War के time अभी बहुत सारे लोग पूछते हैं ना कि how Russia is sustaining. The reason is Chinese does not allow the Russia to collapse, allowed it to sustain its war economy. And second, जो भी conventional front पे जो damages हुआ रशिया को, तो obvious सी बात है उनका armament से सब replace करने के लिए भी they needed means exports, उनको कहीं से मंगवाना पड़ता था. China was supplying those things. They needed imports. China was supplying those things. So reconstitute its depleted conventional capabilities. So that has allowed Russia to keep on fighting for the last 3 years. And still the fight is going on. Are you getting? Next is possibility of synchronization in aggression. मैं ये बार बार बोल रहा हूँ कि this would be another nightmare for America if this would happen. If this would ever happen, this would be another nightmare for America if China attacks Taiwan while Russia is attacking Eastern Europe. अगर चाइना जो है ताइवान पे अटैक करता है और if Russia is attacking while Russia is attacking Eastern Europe, अगर दोनों साथ में हो गया, so USA forces would be a split and a stretched thin. यूएसए फोर्सेस को उस एरिया में भी ध्यान देना होगा, इधर इंडो पैसिफिक में भी ध्यान देना होगा. नाउ यू अंडरस्टैंड द लॉजिक बिहाइंड राप्रॉश्मॉन 2.0. अब इससे कनेक्ट कर पा रहे हो जो पहले मैंने 1 महीने पहले 1.5 महीने पहले जो राप्रॉश्मॉन पर लेक्चर लिया था, कनेक्ट हो पा रहे हैं? व्हाई रशिया यूएसए इज इंटरेस्टेड इन mending its terms and ties with Russia? This is the same reason. This is like a nightmare for American strategists. If this would ever happen, this would not only cause like significant discomfort for the USA, but it would also increase the prospect of this nth nation problem. मैं आऊंगा, I'll come to that. ठीक है? What is happening? Iran furnished, in addition to this, यही इसी time ईरान फर्निश्ड द रशियन मिलिट्री विथ ड्रोन्स, बहुत सारे ड्रोन्स जो है ईरान ने प्रोवाइड किए ड्यूरिंग दिस वॉरफेयर. ये जो रशिया और यूक्रेन का लड़ाई हो रहा है उसमें ड्रोन्स वर मैन्युफैक्चर्ड बाय ईरान एंड दे सेंट इट. नेक्स्ट इज नॉर्थ कोरिया. नॉर्थ कोरिया ड्यूरिंग दिस रशिया यूक्रेन वॉर दे हैव प्रोवाइडेड at least 14,000 soldiers and huge amounts of munitions. 14,000 सोल्जर्स रशिया को प्रोवाइड कराया था इस लड़ाई में लड़ने के लिए नॉर्थ कोरिया ने, एंड दे सीमेंटेड अ कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप, एंड दैट इज एक्चुअली अलाउइंग दिस मॉस्को प्योंगयांग एक्सिस, दैट इज लीडिंग टू द ग्रोथ ऑफ मॉस्को प्योंगयांग एक्सिस, विच इंप्लाइज अ कॉन्फ्लिक्ट ऑन द कोरियन पेनिनसुला. अगर गलती से कोई कॉन्फ्लिक्ट होता है कोरियन पेनिनसुला में, उस केस में 3 इंपॉर्टेंट मेजर पावर्स may come together in front of each other: US, China and Russia, and there are high chances of a true nuclear nightmare. Are you getting? There is a high chance of true nuclear nightmare. कोई दिक्कत है यहां तक? अगर अभी देखो कोरियन पेनिनसुला पे अगर अटैक होता है, ऑलरेडी चाइना इज साइडिंग विथ नॉर्थ कोरिया. नाउ बिकॉज रशिया हैज गॉटन टू मच हेल्प फ्रॉम नॉर्थ कोरिया, सो इन केस इफ एनी अटैक हैपेंस इन कोरियन पेनिनसुला, अगर नॉर्थ कोरिया डिसाइड करता है, से इफ नॉर्थ कोरिया वांट्स टू अटैक साउथ कोरिया, और इफ यूएसए वांट्स टू अटैक नॉर्थ कोरिया, उस केस में व्हाट वुड हैपन? चाइना एंड रशिया वुड ज्वाइन नॉर्थ कोरिया, USA would join South Korea, or these 4 countries, North Korea, US, China, Russia, all 4 are nuclear powered states, so that may lead to true nuclear nightmare. हो सकता है कि even nuclear weapons use हो जाए. Are you getting? Next is implication on allies. What are the implication on allies of USA? So some of the allies, they are opening questioning Washington's ability and willingness to extend deterrence. Whether Washington have the ability, do they have the willingness to extend nuclear deterrence to South Korea, Poland and Germany? I'll come to that. Second, advent of more nuclear powers. खुद सोचो what would happen if all the allies, if they come to the conclusion that USA is right now weak, USA cannot provide the security which they require for their own survival, so that would open a Pandora box. Almost all the important allies who are not right now possessing nuclear weapons, और जिनके आगे threat है, who are seeing कि right now the threat is say posed by मान लो North Korea, or threat is posed by say China or someone else, so they would start thinking of making their own nuclear weapons. So it would keep a Pandora box that Washington has fought for decades to keep closed. First thing, it can lead to nth nation problem. Nuclear proliferation will take place in many of the new nations, and it would also give a blow to an already fragile NPT. NPT would not at all then remain relevant. Are you getting? So next is, यहाँ देखो South Korea. South Korea is quite anxious about American abandonment. South Korea has already given multiple statement कि हो सकता है कि अमेरिका may decide to abandon it. Are you getting? उस केस में they are more likely to engage in nuclear proliferation. And if South Korea would go for nuclear proliferation, so chances हैं कि जापान भी जाएगा. Are you getting? So what would happen? उस एरिया में South Korea, Japan, China, North Korea, Russia, all would be the nuclear power states. सोचो prospect, सोचो आगे. उधर पोलैंड एंड जर्मनी, पोलैंड एंड जर्मनी, अभी देखो, even if let us suppose कि USA is unable to provide deterrence or unable to provide the security to them, so उस केस में to some extent UK and France can help them. फ्रांस का ओपन स्टेटमेंट भी आया था कि इन केस इफ यूएसए विथड्रॉ वी आर विलिंग टू प्रोवाइड यू न्यूक्लियर डिटरेंस, राइट? यस, बट even the UK and France, they can compensate to some degree, but not positioned to limit the damage that Russia can cause to allies. अगर यूएस, यूके और फ्रांस के टोटल कैपेबिलिटीज को ऐड भी कर दिया जाए, then also they are not matched to Russian nuclear capabilities. Are you getting? In that case, what would happen? Poland and Germany, both which are facing the major threat from the Russia, they may decide to go for nuclearization. समझ में आ रहा है? So they could decide to seek their own nuclear weapons. So what would happen? After this Asia Pacific region, Japan, North Korea, South Korea, China, Russia, even core European world would become nuclearized. Russia, Poland, Germany, France, UK, हो सकता है कि बाल्टिक रिपब्लिक बोल रहा हूं, वो ऊपर में स्कैंडिनेवियन जो 3 हैं उसमें से भी चांसेस हैं कि कोई ना कोई डेवलप कर ही लेंगे. Are you getting? So then Europe would also a much nuclearized means continent. समझ में आ रहा है? Next is keeping allies non-nuclear and preserving the NPT. During the first nuclear age and during the second nuclear age, these were the 2 important goals of American strategists. क्या? कि allies को non-nuclear रखना है और एनपीटी को प्रिजर्व करके रखना है. ये 2 इंपॉर्टेंट गोल था. इसके अलावा अमेरिका वाज ऑलवेज श्योर दैट, ये याद होगा तुम्हें, एनपीटी वाला जब डिबेट कर रहा था तो उसमें अमेरिका बार बार बोल रहा था कि राइट नाउ वी शुड थिंक ऑफ nth नेशन प्रॉब्लम. न्यू कंट्री को एक्वायर नहीं होने देना है, बिकॉज इट वुड बी देन डिफिकल्ट टू गो फॉर न्यूक्लियर डिसआर्मामेंट. सो व्हाट वुड हैपन? यूएसए का हमेशा से गोल रहा है fewer number of nuclear power means fewer opportunities for nuclear use. More number of nuclear power means more chances of nuclear weapon use. Now, if the nuclearization would increase, don't you think both of these strategies would also fail? है ना? So maintain nuclear order in the first 2 nuclear age, but these are now changing. Next is, what is the difference between new nuclear age and previous nuclear age? How these two are different? New nuclear age और previous nuclear age में कैसे differences हैं? Distinction. Direct GS का question भी आ सकता है. How the new या third nuclear age is qualitatively different from previous nuclear age? Direct GS2 में questions आ सकते हैं. ठीक है, ध्यान में रखेंगे. So according to Pranay Vaddi, the nuclear order in previous decades has seen the general observance of formal and informal guardrails to limit the growth, spread and use of nuclear weapons. बोल क्या रहे हैं बद्दी साहब कि जो न्यूक्लियर ऑर्डर रहा था ड्यूरिंग द फर्स्ट 2 जनरेशन ऑफ द फर्स्ट 2 न्यूक्लियर जनरेशन, उस समय there was a general observation of formal and informal guardrails. Guardrails यहाँ पे बोलने का मतलब treaty. Formal or informally, most of the countries they were adhering to whatever the treaties have been made. So most of those countries were adhering to it. Consequently, there was not much proliferation and there was control on growth of nuclear weapons. Even at the height of Cold War, both Soviet Union and the USA both saw mutual benefit in verifiable strategic arms control, and that is why these treaties happened. ABM treaty हुआ. ABM तो during Cold War it happened कि both of the countries they saw mutual interest and mutual benefit in verifiable strategic arms control. But new nuclear age जो है that is qualitatively different from this nuclear age. The reason is, खुद देखो, Today these constraints are crumbling. New nuclear age में जो पहले वाला जो norms थे, those are crumbling, both under Putin and reluctance of China. Putin का देखो क्या issue है. Under Putin, what is happening right now? कि Moscow has partially or fully abandoned many of the earlier agreements. जो पहले के जो agreements थे, उनको Russia has fully abandoned. खुद देखो न्यू स्टार्ट ट्रीटी, इसमें सिर्फ यूएसए, सिर्फ रशिया का ही नहीं, इवन यूएसए इज आल्सो रिस्पांसिबल. यूएसए हैज आल्सो अबेंडेंड विच ट्रीटी? INF ट्रीटी, INF ट्रीटी, ABM ट्रीटी किसके द्वारा किया गया? यूएसए द्वारा किया गया, यूएसए यूनिलैटरली एग्जिट. सो अंडर पुतिन एंड अंडर ट्रम्प, what we have seen? We have seen that both they are basically trying to abandon previous agreements. ठीक है, so both are responsible. बीजिंग का क्या हो रहा है? बीजिंग continue to refuse even discussing arms limit. बीजिंग को ऑलरेडी बाइडेन साहब ने ऑफर दिया था कि कम ऑन द टेबल, जो हम लोग बड़े बड़े नेशन हैं, वी शुड कम एंड टॉक ऑन अ टेबल जहां पे हम लोग ये आर्म्स कंट्रोल एग्रीमेंट पे बात करते हैं, सो दैट वी कैन प्लेस सम काइंड ऑफ एम्बार्गो ऑन न्यूक्लियर आर्म्स रेस. बीजिंग ओपनली रिफ्यूज टू कम टू द टेबल, साफ मना कर दिया कि नहीं आएंगे. आर यू गेटिंग? सो विदाउट अ सक्सेसर एग्रीमेंट द यूएसए as well as the world could find itself in a full blown nuclear arms race. अगर कोई successor agreement नहीं आता है, let us assume New START has been dismantled, ABM treaty has ended now, are you getting? INF treaty is dead now, are you getting? So अगर कोई नया agreement नहीं आएगा, so what would happen? A new nuclear arms race would begin between USA, Russia and China, while there are prospects that many other new countries may also acquire nuclear weapons. Lack of guardrails makes the new nuclear age more dangerous. अभी देखो, पहले यूएसए एंड रशिया they were at least willing to come together, डिप्लोमेसी के लिए आ रहे थे साथ में, they were talking, they were deciding to impose some kind of limit, but right now China is not even talking, and that is what this third nuclear age is means emerging as more dangerous. That is making third nuclear age more dangerous. ठीक है? So previously the USA has worked to prevent the spread of so-called nuclear weapons to so-called rogue states since the end of Cold War. मैं बता रहा था बार बार, rogue states को हमेशा अमेरिका they have tried कि they should not be acquiring nuclear weapons. So at that time the focus of USA was on stopping these rogue states from acquiring nuclear weapons. Right now what is happening? The Russia means American core allies, चाहे वो पोलैंड हो, चाहे वो जर्मनी हो, चाहे वो जापान हो, साउथ कोरिया हो, even now they are willing to acquire nuclear weapons. Are you getting? So now the USA had to stop nervous allies from pursuing them in this century. ठीक है? What USA should be doing? अब क्वेश्चन ये आ रहा है कि यूएसए को करना क्या चाहिए? How USA can stop this nuclear proliferation? First thing is the transformation of the nuclear landscape. ये बिपिन नारंग का है, ठीक है? बिपिन नारंग ने ये सब बोला है कि this is what USA should be doing. They should be transforming the nuclear landscape. कैसे ट्रांसफॉर्म करेंगे? पहले देखो, it requires deep engagement from the most senior leaders in government as assured means as occurred during the Cold War. What they are trying to say कि nuclear policies पे now major leaders of America should also be brought on board. It should not be given, the whole task should not be given just to security expert. Major leaders, they should also come together and they should start talking about the nuclear policy. That's the one thing. Second, he suggests the USA must reaffirm that its software is equally strong. बिपिन नारंग साहब क्या बोल रहे हैं कि अदर देन यूएस हार्डवेयर बोलने का मतलब यूएसए का न्यूक्लियर कैपेबिलिटी, उसके अलावा द यूएसए मस्ट टेल इट्स अलाइज दैट they are having political willingness to defend their allies with a full range of capabilities. ट्रंप हुए या जो भी पॉलिटिकल लीडर्स हैं, they need to assuage their allies, साउथ कोरिया को, जापान को, ताइवान को, जर्मनी को, पोलैंड को, कि we are going to provide all kind of protection so that your adversary should not reach to you. Are you getting? तो उनको आपको assuage करना होगा, and that can be done only by top political leaders. Third is they must remain committed to the concept of extended deterrence. यूएसए का जो कॉन्सेप्ट है एक्सटेंडेड डिटरेंस का, दैट इज वी आर गोइंग टू प्रोवाइड न्यूक्लियर अम्ब्रेला टू दोज हु आर नॉट हैविंग न्यूक्लियर वेपन्स, सो ये कंटिन्यू होना चाहिए. दे मस्ट शो डिटर्मिनेशन टू मेक दिस गारंटी अगेंस्ट न्यू एंड इमर्जिंग थ्रेट. ये जो गारंटी था, यू नीड टू मेक इट मोर क्रेडिबल. फोर्थ इज रिवाइव आर्म्स कंट्रोल एंड न्यूक्लियर रिस्क रिडक्शन एफर्ट. देखो, लड़ना इज नॉट अ सोल्यूशन. आर यू गेटिंग? आप अभी तक ठीक है, यू कैन एक्सटेंड न्यूक्लियर अम्ब्रेला, यू कैन टॉक अबाउट द क्रेडिबिलिटी, दैट कैन रिजॉल्व टू सम एक्सटेंट दिस nth नेशन प्रॉब्लम, बट टुवर्ड्स द एंड इनसिक्योरिटी वुड बी हाई अमंग बोथ ऑफ द ग्रुप. एक तरफ चाइना का इनसिक्योरिटी रहेगा, एक तरफ अमेरिका का इनसिक्योरिटी रहेगा. आर यू गेटिंग? सो द बेस्ट वे फॉरवर्ड इज going for revival of arms control and nuclear risk reduction effort. arms control के लिए जाना है. by adjusting its own nuclear posture, the USA could motivate China and Russia to come to the table. चाइना और रशिया दोनों को टेबल पे लेकर आइए. Are you getting? Third is USA need to develop better nuclear capabilities. And अगर अमेरिका का कैपेबिलिटी अच्छा हो गया, so that would assuage partners as well as world community. पार्टनर्स को भी थोड़ा रिलीफ देगा, वर्ल्ड कम्युनिटी को भी रिलीफ देगा. लाइक दे नीड टू मेक मोर ICBM silos. अभी उतना डिटेल में नहीं पढ़ना है. दे आर ऑलरेडी ट्राइंग टू bring innovation inside their ICBM. सेंटिनेल का नाम कभी सुनोगे, न्यूज़पेपर में हमेशा आता है सेंटिनेल ICBM. So Americans are trying to refurbish those. Next is Congress also. Congress यहाँ बोलने का मतलब है American House. They need to support the US government so that ये overhauling में it would take trillion of dollars. तो पैसा कोई देगा, जब तक कांग्रेस अप्रूव नहीं करेगा तो वो कैसे करेंगे गवर्नमेंट. So they need to support overhauling. क्वेश्चन अब ये पूछता है आएगा कि what India should be doing, because the new nuclear age is a reality. ये तो फैक्ट है. अब तो देख लिए, there is a qualitative difference between the old nuclear age and the new nuclear age. सब समझ में आ गया अंकित, why this topic was important, right? Now the new thing is, in this scenario, what India should be doing. India का अपना रोल क्या होना चाहिए? Should we go for bandwagoning with America? Should we maintain a strategic autonomy? What we should be doing? So these are the different steps which India should be doing. First is we need to reinforce this credible minimum deterrence. CMD जो है उसको हमें reinforce करना है. कैसे करेंगे? पहला, we need to modernize delivery system. हम लोग दूसरे के भरोसे नहीं रहना है भाई. You need to modernize your own delivery system so that in case if China become a credible threat, you should be ready to face it. अगर if they are developing ICBM silos for America, so it means कि tomorrow if India-China war break out, तो America would not be any help. अमेरिका पहले मेनलैंड को बताएगा क्या तुम्हारे लिए आएगा. Are you getting? So you need to modernize your delivery system. Second is you need to strengthen your nuclear triad. जो एडवांस तुम्हारा सबमरीन्स है, न्यूक्लियर सबमरीन्स, जैसे कि INS अरिघाट का नाम सुने होंगे, INS अरिहंत का नाम सुने होंगे. सो these all we need the accelerate deployment of these SSBM in Indian waters. Are you getting? Third is we need to maintain de-alerted posture. Right now अभी तो कोई लड़ाई नहीं चल रहा है, तो alerted posture में भी रहना ठीक नहीं है. We need to maintain de-alerted posture. Alerted posture का मतलब कि न्यूक्लियर वेपन एकदम रेडी टू यूज स्टेज में रखो. डोंट डू दैट. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट इज प्रिजर्व स्ट्रेटजिक ऑटोनॉमी. ये गवर्नमेंट का आइडिया यार, आई कांट डू एनीथिंग. ठीक है. यूपीएससी में जो गवर्नमेंट का आइडिया है उससे अलग नहीं होना है. प्रिजर्व स्ट्रेटजिक ऑटोनॉमी. ठीक है. गवर्नमेंट बार बार बोल रही है कि वी नीड टू प्रिजर्व आवर स्ट्रेटजिक ऑटोनॉमी. दैट इज वी नीड टू अवॉइड इंटैंगलिंग अलायंसेस. Neither we would side with US nor with China, because entangling would be more harmful for India. Second is indigenous tech deployment. Don't remain dependent on any one country, चाहे वो रशिया हो चाहे कोई और कंट्री हो. Go for indigenous technological deployment even in nuclear field. चाहे वो SMR मैन्युफैक्चरिंग हो और भी सारे हो. सो डेवलप योर ओन इंडिजिनस टेक्नोलॉजी. नेक्स्ट, गेट रेडी फॉर 21st century न्यूक्लियर चैलेंजेस. 21st century न्यूक्लियर चैलेंजेस का मतलब not just conventional nuclear challenges that is coming from Pakistan or China, but also cyber threat. Are you getting? Cyber attack can be made on your nuclear power plant, na? So that is also a possibility. So we need to focus on 21st century nuclear challenges also. In addition to that, we need to champion arms control. ये जो अमेरिका पे लागू होगा वो हम पे भी होगा. We also need to control arms control and risk reduction. Arms control, उसके लिए क्या करना है? We need to talk to Pakistan. We need to talk to China. Are you getting? Revive regional dialogue that includes both India, China and Pakistan. Push for India, Pakistan, China nuclear risk reduction talks. Second is support global disarmament. ग्लोबली जो इंडिया का हमेशा से स्टैंड रहा है, वी शुड बी सपोर्टिंग न्यूक्लियर डिसआर्मामेंट, वी शुड बी सपोर्टिंग फिजाइल मटेरियल कट ऑफ ट्रीटी. ऑलरेडी आप लोग को बताया हूं फिजाइल मटेरियल किस टॉक के अंदर हो रहा है ये. यस, एफएमसीटी इज कैरिड आउट अंडर विच मैंडेट? यस, गुड. ठीक है. रीअसेसेस डॉक्ट्रिन बट कॉशियसली. अभी कुछ दिन पहले already I told you in 2022 our defense minister has talked about that our no first use needs to be revised, right? So NFU under review, do it but cautiously. सोच लो इसका consequences भी क्या होंगे. Are you getting? Second is also think of massive retaliation versus proportionality. जब आप बोलते हो कि massively we will retaliate, would you be able to generate that much willpower when actually it happens? So you need to do understand the pros and cons of both massive retaliation versus proportionality. ठीक है? Then ultimately shape global perception. India always fought for disarmament at the global level. So again, India can be a flag bearer when it comes to global disarmament. We can project responsible stewardship, uphold India's image as a restrained nuclear power. Are you getting? Second is engage in track 2 diplomacy. ठीक है, गवर्नमेंट से गवर्नमेंट टॉक नहीं पॉसिबल हो पा रहा है. Go for track 2 diplomacy. Send your NGOs, send your civil societies so that they can be talking and establish some kind of consensus, informal consensus on nuclear norms. So go for track 2 diplomacy. And third, use platforms like G20, use platform like BRICS, SCO on integration of nuclear question into broader security agenda. कोई दिक्कत? Coming to next, this is how UPSC का क्वेश्चन आएगा जनरली. अब जैसे ये क्वेश्चन है, evaluate India's nuclear doctrine in the context of the changing characteristics of the new nuclear age. पहले समझो क्या पूछ रहा है. Evaluate India's nuclear doctrine in the context of changing characteristics of the new nuclear age. New nuclear age का send शुभम. Changing characteristics like marked by a strategic instability. How you are seeing a strategic instability? क्या दिख रहा है at the top level? Emerging technologies like MIRV. MIRV का नाम सुनो? Yes, हाँ, ठीक है. MIRV and AI, ठीक है. And a renewed arms race in the Indo-Pacific. This is also happening. Arms race in Indo-Pacific. So basically क्या बोल रहा है कि right now evaluate India's nuclear doctrine in the context of changing characteristics of the new nuclear age. New nuclear age का जो changing characteristics है वो क्या क्या है वो सारा explain नहीं करना है. ये 3 particular term use करना है. How the new nuclear age is means characterized by strategic instability, emerging technologies like MIRV and AI in new nuclear age, and renewed arms race in the Indo-Pacific. ये 3 चीजों पे focus करना है. To what extent can India preserve a strategic autonomy and deterrence while upholding normative commitment to nuclear restraint? अभी बताया ग्लोबल वाला, उसमें न्यूक्लियर रिस्ट्रेन की बात किया था. टू व्हाट एक्सटेंट कैन इंडिया प्रिजर्व बोथ थिंग, a strategic autonomy as well as deterrence, but at the same time it also uphold normative commitment to nuclear restraint? दोनों को बैलेंस करके आंसर लिखना है. समझ में आया? कोई दिक्कत? डन. ओके ऑनलाइन स्टूडेंट्स.